June has gone, July is here, we're officially, school's out and kids are everywhere. The question is, because of the cooling of the rain that we've had, has it actually cooled down any aspect of that Halifax market that we are here to look at today? Well, let's get into some numbers and let's see what's happening. Hey everyone, Richard Payne here from Halifax Homes and Lifestyles, and as you know, we are here at the start of the month because we do this every month to keep you informed of everything that's going on in the Halifax market in terms of average sale price, days on market, months of inventory, sale to list price, like everything you'd ever want to know about the stats in Halifax. So let's start off with, of course, that big number that we always want to start off with, the one that everybody wants to know, which is average sale price for the whole of HRM. $597,118 is where we actually stand right now today for the month of June. Now, let's look at how that stacks up, because we've gone quite a long time now past kind of that 2021, 2022, kind of like the really, really hot markets. The prices seem to have stabilized a lot over the last, I'd say 6 months, maybe 7 months. So what we want to do is see, well, let's compare that to last month. Now, last month, that price was $609,000. So we're down like 2% on last month because we are just underneath the 600. Last month was just over 600. But let's compare it to June last year. June last year was more or less spot on $600,000. So we're only down 0.5% on last year. And that's really been the story when we kind of look at all of the 6 months of this year so far. Very much a stabilization of the actual selling prices that we're seeing. And we're bobbling up and down around that $600,000 number, which, you know, it's definitely a big increase if you went back to like 2020, 2019. But that's really where we're stabilizing. We're not kind of going crazy above or crazy below that $600,000 number. Do we think it's going to stay this way for the next 6 months? Pretty much, yes. Now, we'll get into some specifics about over asking prices and all that kind of stuff later on. But when we look at the list to sale price, we're at 102.5% sale to list price. So list price was $583, sale price was $597. That gives us the 102.5%. Last month, 101.5%, so we're up 1% on last month. Last year, 107.5%, so up 5% on last year. And that's really where you start seeing the kind of list prices are coming up and the sale prices are now getting close. Because if we're only 2.5% over asking price, you can see that kind of means that there's an awful lot of stuff that went under asking price compared to over. So one of the things I wanted to do was actually have a look and really delve into that over asking price aspect and see where it's coming from. Like, what are the markets? What are the kind of values that people are going over? So we'll get into that in a sec because we need some other numbers first. So the first other number we like to look at is how many houses sold in the month of June. That was 515. Last month, 510. Last year, 585. So we're actually down on the number of sales in the month compared to last year by 12%. Number of houses active, we have 664 this month, 679 last month. So let's call it the same number of houses that are for sale. Last year though, 561 homes were active for sale. So we're up on the number of homes that are active for sale that you could potentially go and buy right now. We are up 18% on last year. So again, when you look at that, it basically says, okay, some of the number of homes that have been listed and obviously are up for sale. There is an awful lot of new builds that have come onto the market that have kind of helped that little bit. And that gives us 1.3 months of inventory. Last month, 1.3 months of inventory. Last year, only 1 month of inventory. So you can see that we put a little bit on, but we've said this before in numerous videos. We are looking at probably a good 24 to 30 months of below 3 months, below 2 months of inventory, which is firmly and strongly a seller's market. So what does that mean from a buyer point of view? It means that there's not a lot of choice. It also means that we are still seeing offers either going over asking price, but more importantly, we're seeing, especially on a lot of listings, 48 hours is when we need to leave your offers open for. Sometimes you'll get 24. The odd occasional one, it's like all offers in by Sunday, Saturday, Friday, whenever day it is at 5 or 8 p.m. But that's what we're seeing now. And what that tells buyers is they are going to try and get multiple offers. Like if you leave your offer open on a house for 48 hours, you will no doubt get a message at some stage that another offer turned up because it's open for 2 days. So the idea is would you like to try and get that offer dealt with sooner? Yes, but equally the seller can turn around and say, listen, not being funny, but we've had a ton of viewings. We've been told there's other offers coming. Thanks very much. We like your offer, but we're not going to just accept it straight away. We are going to wait and see what the multiple offers are like. So therefore, it is absolutely still in that situation where we are going over asking price on quite a few of the offers, that's for sure. So looking specifically at that over asking price, we know we sold 515 houses. Well, over 53% of those houses were actually over asking price. And if we add up how much over asking price those houses sold for, $40,000 was the average over asking price. Now, there was absolutely, when you look at the real data in there was definitely some ones that were really high over asking price. But equally, there was ones that were only like 5 or 10,000 over asking price. So on average, at the moment, you're looking at, in particular for those that did go over asking price, so that's half of everything that sold went for over asking price, you're looking at roughly $40,000 over asking price. Now, yes, specific markets, it's probably more than that. Some of the markets, it's probably less than that. But to give you a clue from a buying aspect, if you were going in writing an offer, roughly $40,000 over asking price on a popular house that has multiple offers. That's roughly what we're seeing from the stats that we're looking at here in June. Now, some of the other things we do like to look at, of course, is number of days on market. 24 days on market this month. Last month, 24 days on market, which kind of stacks up in the fact that the months of inventory hasn't changed from last month to this month. But last year it was 14 days on market. So we are up 10 days on that. Now it's 24 days, so it's still less than a month. So from a seller point of view, you know, that's still really good, and market specifics we'll obviously get into, but less than a month on the market is still a pretty good number for you to be at in terms of getting your house up, getting it sold, and carrying on with life. Looking at some of the specific areas, actually, let's have a quick look at the list to sale price, not list to sale price, the listing number to sales numbers, because we always want to see that list to sale ratio in terms of how many houses get listed, how many houses get sold, what's that ratio? Because it will give you a little bit of a clue as to like how the market is shifting a little bit in terms of, are we putting a lot more listings on the market, or are we selling a lot more houses that we're putting on the market? So when we look at that, listings this month were 540 new listings, sales were 515, 95% listings to sales. Last month, 645 listed, 510 sold, 79%. Last year, 821 listed, which is a lot of listings, 585 were sold, 71%. So what that shows you is that there's a shift in that we're going from putting a lot of listings on and selling ish 500 to 550, because when you look at last month, this month, last year, that's roughly what we're kind of looking at. But you can see that it's gone from like 71% last year, 79% last month, 95% this month. So in June, we just did not list a lot of houses compared to last month or compared to last year. So that's really the struggle, and that's what we're seeing when you kind of see solid 1.3 months worth of inventory, 24 days on market, but over half of all the houses going for over asking price. So that's kind of a little bit of the story when you see what's going on. And that means from a buyer point of view that it's staying tight, like it's staying tough to try and do two things. Number one, find the house that you actually want to offer on. And number two, win your offer. So definitely check out some of the videos where we've kind of gone into the multiple offers and what that means and some strategies that you can use to try and win. And that's really what we're looking at now. Getting into some of the houses, because everybody likes to know, again, over asking price as well as over $1 million. So Halifax South is basically set in the marker. Their average price point was 1.1 million for all the houses that were actually sold in the month of June. They only had 15 houses sold, so it didn't get them into the top 3 at all. But when you look at that, over half of their 15 houses sold were over $1 million. So Couple that, like, when we actually go into the Bedford area, which funnily enough is market number 3, but we'll get into that later. Bedford also had a lot of houses over $1 million that were sold as well. I think there was, of the 22 houses in total for the whole market that were over $1 million, 15 of those houses were sold in Bedford and Halifax South. So in terms of like the money and the availability and the purchasing power for a lot of people, the interest rates are not really affecting anything because, people with big money are still coming in and buying properties, in the different areas that, really have over $1 million listings. So it's definitely still a strong market, even when you get up to the $1 million. We've said it before, and this kind of stacks up, that kind of 5 to 600, maybe 5 to 650, that's the tough market for buyers right now, because that's really where everybody's starting to shop. So if you're in that price range, just get ready for it's going to be a little bit tough in terms of getting your offer accepted. Figure out some strategies, write solid, good offers, get the advice from your realtor, and make sure that you're doing everything you can that is taking enough of a risk that you're going to get the house, but not so much risk that you're like, okay, this is craziness, because we're not really there. All right, let's get into the top 3 markets. Number 1 was Timberley, Prospect, St. Margaret's Bay, Upper Tantallon area. They sold 53 houses, which is more or less 10% of all of the sales in the month happened in that area. Their average price point is $594,000. Sale to list price was 103.6%, so it gives you roughly a $21,000 over asking price. 19 days on the market, so pretty swift going on there. They had 73 homes available, which gave them a months of inventory of 1.4. So that's the number 1 market. Now, when we look at number 2, we are still back up, and these numbers tend to bounce around a little bit, but realistically, those top markets are pretty much between 3 or 4 of them. They're always going to be in the top 3 or 4. So number 2, we're out in East Hants, Colchester West, which of course is Elmsdale, Enfield, Lance area. Their average sale price there was $482,838. So let's call it $483,000. 29 days on market, just a smidge over asking price there at 101.5%, roughly $7,000. 45 homes sold, 88 active, which gives them 2 months of inventory. A lot of houses being sold up there. It's being popular, and I think it's down to the price point. It's becoming really popular up there, and still the new subdivision, Kiln Creek, really hasn't taken off up there either yet. They haven't really started pushing the number of houses that are brand new and listed for sale there. So keep an eye on that market because it is going to explode. Number 3, Bedford makes its way back into the top 3. Pretty high average price point because we talked about the number of houses over $1 million, and there was about 7 or 8 of them in Bedford. So we're at $800,000 and a little bit in Bedford area. But interestingly, and this is where you kind of get into the $1 million and above, those are the areas that you'll find that a lot of the lower than list price is actually taking place. So over $1 million, you tend to get some good chunky discounts. So realistically, they're at 99.5% sale to list price, 32 days on market, 39 homes sold, 69 active, gives you 1.8 months of inventory. Also looking in that area as well, a third of the houses that were actually sold were new construction, and new construction tends to be list price, sale price, same number. So again, you don't see a lot of those ones going over asking price. So when we look at all the ones that did go under asking price, they were all the pretty pricey stuff where people were obviously going in under asking price, getting that kind of reduction in price, and therefore that's why we're at 99.5%. So that gives you a pretty much a good summation of the top 3. Now, Dartmouth is a really popular area, but if we group all of the areas, there's about 9 areas that make up Dartmouth, and if we group them all together, that's really where it's very popular. They're only 14 days on market for the whole of, and we're talking about Colby, we're talking about Forest Hills, Woodlawn, Portland Estates, Montebello, Keystone, Creighton Park, Southdale, downtown Dartmouth. So it's a pretty big area, but because there's so many different areas, if we group them all together, we're getting 6.7% over asking price for that area. So it's pretty hot, that area. 14 days on market, so 2 weeks, which is pretty good as well. And then the average is only half a month's inventory. So If you're in Dartmouth, yes, there's specific areas, but when you group them all together, that's really like a fairly hot market right now. But it's also a very big market as well, hence so many different areas. So depending on the area, it depends what's going on. But that's really the summation of everything we've got going on for the month of June. Halifax stats, you got any questions, contact details are all down below. Reach out and let's get you sorted with trying to find a new home, trying to get your house sold, or even looking at investment possibilities. We've got all of those covered, so just reach out and let's have a chat.